Hello, Facebook. Happy Thursday. It's 1 o'clock. So that means it's time for Collaborate to Win's product knowledge. So today, check it out. I got a coffee mug with the logo. I love stuff like this. It's the little things. So today we are going to discuss one of the bigger, scarier topics, freight and delivery. It's one of those things where it's not something that a lot of designers tackle. If they're purchasing through a furniture store, that stuff gets taken care of for you, so you never have to deal with it. If you do order from a showroom, they kind of sometimes will walk you through processes, maybe even make suggestions to make things easier. So this has become this unknown, scary thing. When you're buying direct, you do have to take care of this stuff. So it's one of those things that some people say, ooh, I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to make less money and go over here. So I want to encourage you to step out, make more money, and not fear this part of the process. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I do things and my experience, so that will hopefully be helpful. And thank you for joining me. So I have Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. Nice to see you here. And Lynn, awesome. Glad you guys are here. So, well, first, I think it's important to take a deep breath and every time this topic stresses you out, just breathe through it, because the freight and delivery is frustrating. And but we're coming up with ways to deal with it. And I haven't had too many terrible experiences, and I've been doing this now for probably like 4 years of buying direct. So I can say that it's really not that big of a deal. You do just kind of get used to it, and you know, come up with a system that works for you. So I'm going to tell you what works for me. And I got some more people joining. Got Ray here. Hey, girl. And Julie. Hi, how you doing? I'm glad you guys are here. So freight and delivery. So what is it? Well, freight is the big 18-wheeler tractor trailers that you see on the highways, and they bring your furniture or larger accessories, even like mirrors sometimes are so heavy that they need to be freighted. They're not, the UPS guy is not going to take care of that. Sometimes even artwork that's just really just too big for those wind up in a freight truck. So it will depend. This is why it's complicated, is because there's variables. You've got where it ships from. Is it North Carolina? Is it California? And then where are you? Are you in New Jersey? Are you in Ohio? Are you in Nebraska? It all depends. So the freight company is the big 18-wheeler truck that picks up the furniture, probably at North Carolina, because that's kind of still our hub of furniture. But occasionally it's somewhere else. And that will travel to your local warehouse, which is your local delivery company. So the freight carrier is bringing it from one place to another place. And they can't just drop it off at your client's house, because that's not white glove delivery. And the truck is like way up here. And, you know, so they need to drive the back of the truck into a garage that has that stepped up thing, so that when they open the door, they just walk the sofa out or walk the piece of furniture out. So that's one of the requirements, is to have a local delivery place that has one of those types of garages that, you know, you just step it out. So you need two things. You need the freight company and you need the local delivery company. So and you know, there's actually Metropolitan will do both. They'll pick up the furniture and white glove it to your clients. And they probably have a little bit of a system, and I haven't priced that out or used them yet, but some people have and had good experience. So I don't know if that's more expensive or less expensive, or if it's just a matter of it's now easier because you're dealing with one company rather than two. So one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you guys is because this is so complicated, and I've been doing it for a little while, so I have a little bit of a system that I use. So it's so simple, anybody can do this. Okay, so one thing that I do is I have a sheet that I've created. This is my cheat sheet. And so in one column, I have what I've paid in local deliveries, and then what I have paid for freight over in this column. And so every designer will do their pricing a little differently. Most designers in our group have said 20% is what I charge above the cost of the goods. And sometimes you're going to be a little bit over, and sometimes you're going to be a little bit under. And so I created this sort of cheat sheet of what I've paid so far, so that when I'm pricing some stuff up, I'm adding that in so I know I am going to be profitable in the end of this. Because I wish that it was so simple and they would just send you a quote for what it's going to be. And some companies will, but not a lot of them, I would say. So it becomes this unknown. And then how do you make sure that you're making money if you don't know how much that's going to cost? So so the cheat sheet is one of those tools that I'm using. So, you know, I have sofa. Was $133 to go from my local New Jersey warehouse to my client's house. And that will vary, just very slightly, depending on where that client is. That client might be further away for that particular sofa. And the freight was $112. And generally speaking, the freight is just slightly less than the local delivery. And your local delivery, here's some of the things that you need to know about that. So they have to have insurance so that if they mess up the piece of furniture as it's getting delivered, it'll be covered. And so the more expensive the piece was, the more expensive their insurance is going to be to cover that. So for like some of the lower end stuff, the Stanley, the Universal, you know, Four Hands, those guys, the insurance will be less to cover the cost of replacing that piece. So it might be cheaper to deliver that. Whereas if you've got like Baker and, you know, Hancock and Moore and those higher end spectrum, they need more insurance. So that one sofa might be a little bit more. For the most part, I generally work within the middle range of pricing. So this is probably a CR Lane sofa. So $133 just to deliver to the house. And $112 got it from North Carolina to my warehouse. And so then I've got a two-piece sectional, club chair, an ottoman, a stool. So I just kind of made this up as I got deliveries and put it in here. So this is something that I've created based on experience. So now that I have this buy-in group and everybody's asking these questions, and I've now been delivering furniture out to people that live all over the country, I now just created a new sheet that's just the freight. So it's the new cheat sheet for your freight, and it's now by state. So there's, you know, not every state, but a lot of states are now in our new sheet that we're going to share with everyone and probably add to as time goes on, so that, you know, you have a sense of what that's going to be. But most designers, as a general rule, are doing 20% above your cost to cover that freight and delivery. And sometimes, you know, you might live really close near North Carolina or something, so that your freight might not be 12%. It might be 8% or 6%. And then your local delivery was probably going to be, you know, 10% or something like that. So you might be able to say, well, my freight, if I go with 15%, then I know I'm covered. So, and if you live further out, you might have to do 25. So 20 is a general average rule. And then I've got our Collaborate to Win group. We're all about helping each other and making our lives easier and sharing as much information as possible. So we share with everybody these freight sheet costs. So we've got, this one has like every trucking company possible, their phone number, their website, what states they cover, because not everybody goes everywhere. This is something that I've now discovered. So I have had to use probably 6 different freight companies to get the furniture to everywhere that it needs to go. Okay, and then it flips over and there's even more. So this is something that we share with people. And then this chart is very helpful. So I'll show you that. Okay, so this chart, so my favorite, I'll just tell you, is Shelba Johnson. What I like about them is they've set me up in their system, so they have my credit card on file and I don't have to deal with them. They just charge the credit card and the furniture keeps moving. And so, so it's less for me to worry about, oh, I've got to go and pay that online, or I have to wait for a bill to show up in the mail and then mail them a check. So Shelba Johnson has been nice because it just sort of like streamlines the process. And they take care of most of the East Coast, and they'll sometimes also go out to Ohio. But they don't always cover like the Midwest and some other places. So then my second choice is Sunbelt. And then after that, I would say Wise Ways did a good job for me. And another one that I had to deal with was Watkins. Now, I had a pretty terrible experience with them from customer service end of things. Furniture got there, it was fine, and it was actually really reasonable. I thought their price was very good, but getting them to write an invoice and get that invoice to me so that I could pay them so that they could take the furniture to where it needed to go took like 2 weeks. That was 2 weeks of lost time because I'm waiting for someone to do some paperwork. And it wasn't like I wasn't calling them and following up. I got pretty nasty at the end of this. So eventually, you know, it got paid and the furniture moved to where it needed to go. I think if you're a company like that, if you're going to take your time to invoice someone, that's on you. Move my furniture where it needs to go. So Watkins, they're on my crap list, and I have to deal with them for certain states. So I'm hoping maybe now I'm in their system, maybe now it will be easier, and I will also have to babysit this now. I'm going to have to call them constantly and make sure it's all that they're doing what they need to be doing. So they're annoying, but other people have had good experiences with them, and it may be because they work with them all the time and it's no big deal because they know who they are and what it is, and I don't know, whatever. We'll see if the second trip will go any easier. So so what I like about this chart is it goes by state. So you've got the whole alphabet here of states and who is kind of the main carrier. So New York, you've got Shelba Johnson, and it's going to be 11%. Versus, let's see, New Jersey also says Shelba Johnson, and that's 10.75. And you might as well just round up, right? So, okay, so let's see, Maryland, Shelba Johnson again, 7%, because you're really close to North Carolina. That's probably why it's so much less. Let's see, so we've got California. Oh, this is one I haven't dealt with yet. Hausner, I guess, Hauser, maybe, 15% for Arizona, 16% for California. Colorado, Sunbelt, 15.25. So this is, generally speaking, something that I refer to quite a bit now because I've got orders for people coming in for all over the place. And it's kind of funny because you would think Sunbelt, if they're going to Arizona, why wouldn't they do Nebraska? but they don't. So I had to get Wise Ways to do that one. And you would think if Wise Ways goes to Nebraska, why wouldn't they do Utah? But that's sort of like the line that they drew, and they said, well, we're not doing that. So now I've got to, for this one Utah order, I have to use Watkins. So hopefully this next time I'm in their system, they know who I am. I certainly know that I have to babysit them. And so that's how it goes. So Shelba Johnson just has my credit card. They know who I am, and it just gets where it needs to go, and I don't have to worry about it. Sunbelt, my second choice, I have to go into their website and use my login password stuff and then pay the bill. So it's just another step and something I have to do, but it's not hard. It's pretty easy. Wise Ways was pretty old-fashioned. They sent me a invoice through snail mail. They don't even like email it. So then I wrote them a check and then snail mailed the check to them because that's how they want it. Otherwise, they were going to charge for the credit card. And sometimes they're only going to they only want the credit card, but they're still going to charge you to use the credit card. It is what it is. So sometimes that's just how it goes. And then your local delivery companies, we have a list. We have now, I think it's 57 different local companies, because we have a lot of members who tell us who's good, and so we just add it to our spreadsheet. So that's another thing that we're sharing with our group of designers. So if you have, if you're in an area, you can check this and know who to send your furniture to. I also find that people in the Facebook groups are really helpful. So if you're in an area that we don't have a good recommendation for yet, you can just kind of go on all these different groups and say, hey, I live here, who also lives here and uses a local delivery company? And you'll probably get a good answer. So the delivery company is the one that is receiving the furniture from the freight company. So they should get it, open everything, and inspect it to make sure it's all fine. There have been a few times where my delivery guys will say, oh, this chair needs a new this, or there's a scratch on this, but we can fix it. And so they have somebody on staff that will take care of that, or somebody that they subcontract all the time for that kind of thing. So it gets taken care of. It might push my delivery out a little bit, a couple days, maybe a week, but they take care of it for me on site, and then we schedule the delivery so I don't have to necessarily get a new piece or whatever. And then when they don't do it for free. So the repair, you photograph it for the company that you've bought it from so that they see what happened. And then you send them the bill for the repair, and they should send you the money. Sometimes they're annoying and they want to give you a credit. What am I going to do with a credit? I can't pay the guy with a credit. He doesn't want furniture. So it's sometimes a fight to get the repairs paid for via check so that you can actually pay the person that had to fix it. We had a bunch of mirrors show up broken from Uttermost. It happens. Sometimes things come in shipping and they're broken. So in that case, you take a photo, you email it to them, and they send you just a whole new one and tell you to throw that away because it's no good. So sometimes you get a whole new piece, but if it's a piece of furniture that just has a little scratch on it and it's completely fixable where you won't even see, you can repair it hopefully before it gets delivered anywhere. So I do find that as good as my local delivery people are, they don't sit in front of a desk and check their email all the time, even if they have an assistant. I find that there is kind of a little bit of a lag by the time they've gotten the furniture, inspected it, and they're trying to make an appointment with me. I'm usually kind of on them saying, okay, when, because I'm going to go to the house and I'm not available on Thursday, but I can do it Wednesday. Can you do it Wednesday? And it takes them a while to get back to me. So there's a little bit of frustration sometimes for that end of things. I would kind of say it's similar to dealing with like a contractor, because they don't sit in front of a computer all the time and you're just like, well, where's my quote, or where's an answer to this question, or whatever, and it takes them a little while, a little longer than you would like it to for them to get back to you. So so they inspect the furniture, they let you know they have it, they schedule the delivery with you, and personally, I like to be there at the house. One, I can see if anything's wrong, or put it in the right place. And I have my eyes seeing everything, because when I worked at a furniture store, I wasn't on hand. The delivery guys would come bring it in, and Mrs. Jones, who ordered it 3 months ago, totally forgot what she ordered, and she's like, is this the right thing? I don't know if this is the right thing. And then you're having a conversation, well, was it supposed to be that brown, because I was thinking that was going to be the gray, and I can't remember. We went back and forth because they don't remember. So being on hand when that piece gets delivered has been very helpful. I even, like, for a really, like, when I'm doing a whole house, I put together the sofa in an image and the fabric and print it up for them, and I say, so here you go, this is what you're going to get, so that 2 months later, when it's actually in their house, they have a photo to remember, oh yeah, I did order that. Because they don't remember. It's not in their head like it isn't for us. We're like obsessed with, oh, and this pillow with this trim. They're not. They're like, oh yeah, I liked how you put it together. It was pretty. So so that's one of those tricks that I do. If I'm doing like a whole house, I do a whole image of what this room's going to get and what that room's going to get. So there's no, it's not really what I wanted. Did not I order that? Yeah, you did. So yeah, so being there, you're making sure that it's the right thing, you're putting it in the right place, and then the customer doesn't have to stay home in that time window frame that they give you to be there. So I will text them a photo of the finished product, and they come home from work and they're like, oh wow, that was really cool, and it was such a nice extra service that I could provide to them, so that they don't have to take a day off from work. And so they like that a lot. And furniture stores are definitely not doing that kind of service. So you're a huge benefit and time cost savings for them when you're doing that kind of full service design. So that is pretty much all I can tell you about freight and delivery. And I hope that I have made it a little bit less scary maybe, or more understood. Another thing is, it always costs more money than you think it will, because it just does. It's the part of the job that we just want it to magically appear. It's like, okay, we got the check, now I just want it to magically show up in the house on the right wall. But that's not what happens. You have multiple people and trucks and insurance and so much, I went to the post office just for, normal package to send. And because of flooding happening right now in certain states, there was like you are sending this priority, and we're going to get there. We're going to get it to the place as quick as possible. But due to weather, it might take a little longer. So, sometimes, because of flooding, something will even take longer. So best to just breathe, relax, right? There's no interior design emergency. There's no delivery emergency. It may take a little longer. It might be a little frustrating sometimes, but you just get through it. And now that I've been doing this for so many years this way, it's just what you do. It's just, it's not that big of a deal. And I really recommend making your own cheat sheet for what things have cost, so that you can kind of just quick reference, because that delivery company, they say they'll get you an estimate. Yeah, right. It'll take 2 weeks. That's not an estimate to me. You've wasted 2 weeks of my time to give me something when I've already told the client now what it is, because they're not waiting 2 weeks for an answer. So yeah, so make a cheat sheet, and you know, it's not that scary. It's annoying, but it's okay. Sometimes things are just annoying, right? So that's that about freight. So next week is High Point, and I will be down there. I'm leaving. My plane arrives Friday. So I'm not going to do Facebook Live next Thursday, but I'm going to do tons of Facebook Live and make videos while I'm down there, so that hopefully I can just share some videos with you when I get back. I'll spread them out. I'm going to show you when I find something that I think is, kind of crappy upholstery or a bad finish on some wood pieces. I'm going to show you how I tell if it's garbage or not. So, because I've talked about it, but it's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to be able to say, see this seam here? This is how you know that this is not going to work out for you in the long run, or point out really good things too. So, yeah, so I'm excited. I'm going down, going to meet a bunch of people down there, and I'll be sharing videos. So I think it's just going to be spontaneous, because sometimes I do have a schedule, but that can move around sometimes, or the thing that I thought I was going to, share with you might be different. So I'm just going to pop on when inspiration strikes, and I'll make videos, and I'll try and schedule those out so that you can, tune in and watch at our regular scheduled time, which is Thursdays, 1 o'clock. So thank you guys for joining. I'm so glad that you were all here, and I hope that this was helpful. So have a great rest of your week, and have a fantastic weekend. And if anyone's going to Luann's live, it's about the conversation, I will see you there. Okay, bye.